Hello folks, L.A. Little here with TA Today, bringing you neoclassical technical analysis on a regular basis, giving you trading ideas, setups, and thoughts about where this market is and where it's going. Let's get into it. Hey folks, quite a rally last week. That's 2 weeks in a row now, huge gains, actually more than I expected. I'm always a tad bit shall we say conservative, but these markets sometimes they do what they want to do. And I unfortunately don't always remember that from time to time. It shocks me a little bit, just like it probably shocks you, where they move as fast and as hard as they do. So anyway, 2 weeks massive gains, taking the markets back up. I want to focus on, a little bit of knowledge here about what actually happened. There was 2 key days. There was this day. So, basically you're coming down, you really kind of escalate down here, and then you get a big bounce, right? A nice big spike off the bottom. You see gap up, and you just keep going all day. And you get to follow through. But that one actually, if you look at it, that actually has a little tail on top, and it says, well, we could trade back down. And of course we do. We gap down to here, but they buy it, right? And they close it right back up there. And then this particular day, same thing, gap down. Well, actually it was not a gap down, it was a slight gap down. And then they drove it down and then drove it all the way back up, and they finished with a hammer reversal. And that was Tuesday, the day before the deadline Trump had put on, and then of course a big gap up after that and some follow through. Those were the key days. Those were the ones that said, hey, this thing is maybe not as bearish as I'm thinking. Because there was kind of the question of, you get a push down, you get a bounce, and maybe a potential rollover, right? I mean, that's the possibility. But those 2 bars were both arguing against that. And this one in particular was interesting because oil would not come down. Oil actually hit its highs that day. Yet this market wasn't buying it, right, in terms of the equities. The equities were betting on the upside, and that's what happened. I had some exposure down here, had a little bit of exposure that I had to get back into as a result of this, but not nearly as much as you would want, right, for that kind of a rally. And that's the way it goes. Oil, I think, is topped. That's what it looks like to me. We can go back up and test again, but I think it's topped. The biggest thing here I want to point out to you is these bearish retest regens we expected on the weekly, right, to hold, actually failed. And so it went back up and it took it out. Now, it didn't get congruence. So if I flip over here to the NASDAQ NDX, where is the NDX? Right here, this one's still live. And so when I'm looking at these 2, I want congruence. So if I want to know for sure that this thing's probably heading higher, it certainly is at least sideways, right? I want both of them to be taken out, and this one's not quite there. So that's what I'll be looking for this week. That's what you should be looking for. If we get that, that says that the downside is probably done for now. Worst case, we probably come back and do some testing, into these lower areas, but they're going to try and push this thing higher again. Will they get it? I don't know. I can argue for the range. It's hard for me to argue for, continued upside. But then again, you got, if you can get a resolution to the Middle East, that's what would happen. And, it's what is it like? I'm doing this fairly late on a Saturday night, and it looks like there was a failure to get an agreement. Now, what that will actually mean, I'm not really sure, and we don't know for sure until we, see what the 2 sides decide to do. But it's going to be a tough row. I don't think, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is not April of 2025. Trump does not control the narratives. These IRCGs, right, are not the negotiating type. They're religious fanatics, and they're just not going to give away their Hormuz Strait wild card that they have right now. And I mean, that's the only thing they got, and they're gonna hold it tight. And that's something that you can't let happen. That's something Trump can't leave on the table. And I think that's a huge problem for him. It's a hornet's nest that he stuck his foot into here, and to get out of this is going to be it's going to be tough. That's where we're at. Have a great one. I'll see you next time. Take care.